Long overdue. October 9, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. This information has been flash banned by many sources, but it is brief and simple enough to understand. The Vice President is an office that has always been charged with handling vice operations, as in Vice Squad. In the United States Municipal Government, this initially meant that the Vice President was responsible for riding herd on the regulation of interstate manufacture, sale, and transport of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. These so-called sin taxes were established initially as the means to fund the operations of the federal government. It falls primarily under the heading of the municipal government because it involves, or is supposed to always involve, business between organized corporations engaged in interstate commerce, and commerce is the realm of the municipal government. So from the very first, the Vice President's office has been concerned with 1. Regulatory activity concerning commercial operations and specifically commerce in controlled substances and commerce in foreign trade, and 2. Enforcement activities related to sin taxes, trade in controlled substances, and vice. Unfortunately, when the wrong people get into this office, it is easy for things to go sideways, and instead of being a controller and regulator seeking to promote public safety and collection of taxes and tariffs on controlled substances and oversight of commercial transactions with foreign business partners involving commodities subject to tariffs and fees of various kinds, gross abuses occur, which is precisely what happened with Joe Biden. Joe Biden couldn't resist feathering the family nest in a big way. While there is no evidence that he, himself, directly received funds from these activities, it is clear that he abused his office to rig deals and peddle influence highly beneficial to his son, Hunter Biden. By all accounts, Hunter Biden is a man with a troubled history of drug addiction and instability caused by drug addiction, but because of his father's office and deal-making and pressuring of foreign governments, Hunter received improper appointments and contracts. In the first incident, Joe Biden got his son, Hunter, appointed to the board of Ukraine's largest private producer of gas, even though Hunter knew nothing about gas production or the Ukraine and had no experience with either. This netted $50,000 a month plus a $3 million backdoor payment laundered through other countries. A Ukrainian prosecutor was alerted to the money laundering of the $3 million, and began investigating the gas company and Hunter Biden. Joe Biden held up $250 million in aid to the Ukrainian government for ransom, until the prosecutor was fired and this investigation quashed. This is a crime. It's called obstruction of justice and economic blackmail. Joe Biden bragged about it afterward. Nepotism, influence peddling, coercion, and other lesser crimes are also self-evident. A second such intervention by Daddy Biden netted Hunter Biden over $1.5 billion from China, that's billion, with a B. Clearly, this not just some petty one-time dalliance of a morally compromised politician finagling a quid pro quo for his son. This is a Vice President of the United States getting involved in vice for vice's sake, participating in vice and criminality for unjust enrichment, and abusing his office, in our names, to do it. This, when Biden's actual duty as vice president, was to control and combat such corruption, regulate vice-related substances, and collect sin taxes related to controlled substances and foreign commercial tariffs. One wonders what the governments of Ukraine and China can think about our country and about us? It is outrageous that Joe Biden abused his public trust and office in this manner, but unfortunately, it has become par for the course in Washington, D.C. This and behavior like it, is the reason that the voters hired President Trump to drain the swamp. Obviously, those pigs, or alligators, at the trough in D.C., are resisting exposure of their dirty deeds and criminality, and so are trying to magically transform this information into a whole new fictional storyline, claiming that President Trump did something improper by inquiring about Biden's activities as vice president. News for the Beltway: Biden behaved as a criminal while occupying the office of Vice President of the United States. Biden shouldn't be walking the streets, much less running for president. More news for the Beltway: President Trump did nothing wrong. Still more news for the Beltway: the party is over. It also appears that the families of John Kerry and Nancy Pelosi have been involved in similar activities, and there may be Republican lawmakers who have also engaged in this kind of criminality, too. It hasn't been investigated until now, out of respect for Congress. Obviously, our respect for Congress and all other elected officials has to be predicated on what Congress does, and influence peddling, economic blackmail, and similar activity don't merit our respect, our trust, nor our tolerance.